you ready? All right, let's call this meeting of the Finance Advisory and Audit Committee to order. Today, Monday, March 23rd, 2015. Roll call, please.
Sure. Chairman Standish,
Here.
Vice Chair Miller,
Here.
Committee Member Lung Chu,
Here.
Committee Member Ken Johnson,
Here.
Committee Member Anita Kane.
Okay. Approval of the agenda. I'll make the motion. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion, all those opposed? No. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, approval of the consent agenda. I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Before you move on the agenda, on the right hand side, we still have town manager Mark Cutting there. Also on the minutes. Give the changes.
You're right.
Thank you, Mr. Chu.
Is this still on payroll?
Desiree, move it.
Oh. Right,
And
you
then,
still may be a manager, I'm just not here.
okay,
Oh,
that's
you,
right.
no, page 6, you got that one too, right? You're on a roll.
Yeah.
Page 6.
They're all the same, so.
No signature tonight. Or
I'm
we can
consistent.
sign with corrections. Okay, so we were on consent agenda. We had a motion to approve.
Did
Do we have a
approval
second?
incorporate the changes
Yes.
identified?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to make the?
Yeah, I mean, this is fine, we amend the motion.
Okay. Okay, so we'll amend the motion to include the changes. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0 passes. All right, let's go through the minutes. Just let me know when everyone's done, if anyone has any corrections or.
We have a motion before we,
Oh, did we not?
How did you want to do it? Do you want to do A, B, C, D, or you just want to do A?
let's over the minutes.
We're still on the
Let's
minutes.
do it.
Well, you wanna do for both A and B? That's what I'm saying, this, okay, let's have a motion to approve A and B. Okay. With the changes and, yes.
Oh.
Okay, make a motion.
Second, the question.
Did you second that?
I think I need a second.
I made the motion.
No, I couldn't hear you because Mr. Chu.
No, I think she did a motion, we have to do a
I
second.
seconded.
Right, okay, all those in favor?
Not yet, I have a
Oh,
question.
not yet, okay.
Very quick, simple question.
Yeah, okay.
On page 2, under old business, that, for the software system, at the end it said that, staff advised that the development will not commence until the town is relocated to the chamber school.
Right.
Do we know when it's going to happen?
It's moved around, the last date was April 31st, or no, March.
March the 31st we close.
Oh,
The,
okay.
the chamber's not ready.
It was closing.
Close.
And then we will try to be in the next 3 weeks after that.
Oh, that's good.
We're gonna be in before the end of April.
So we move along good. So that means it wouldn't have much impact on the system implementation because it's coming up.
It's just a matter of time, rather than spending time trying to train where there's no place to train. Get here and do the training.
The next question I have is, I remember that I've seen an expenditures paying this company.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct?
There was a $5,300 expenditure that was required at the signing of the contract.
Okay,
That's part of the whole package.
that's good.
And we wanted to get the price locked in.
And also that, we're gonna remove Mark Cutler name and replace it with.
Right.
Susan Wood.
All right, we made the motion with changes.
Yeah.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
You good?
Yeah, good.
Nita down there, we good?
I'm happy, thank you. Thanks for asking.
All righty then.
Did you want to add something?
No, I want to make a motion.
Okay.
Made the motion. All you got to do is vote.
No, it's, but it's not appropriate time yet.
Oh, okay. We were just trying to figure out what the look on your face was for. Okay.
Exactly.
You have a look, kid, going there. All right, where are we now? So we've done
We have a
the,
vote.
Was there a vote?
A vote? We need to vote.
I thought it was unanimous.
No, we haven't voted yet on this because you had some questions. Now, we've got the motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Okay. Continue on with, let's see here, we've done the minutes. There are no presentations, there's no old business. We have new business, and do we want to do this A through D, or do we just want to, how, we'd like to do A and B?
I think A and B and then C and D, so my vote.
I'd agree with that.
No problem.
That
Okay,
is
good.
fine.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion to do A and B
Okay.
together and C and D
Thank
separately.
All right, A, approval of fiscal year 2015, February financial statements, and we should note that we do have the trial balance January and February with noted changes included. Thank you very much, Ms. Burlow. Okay. Starting with page 9. I've noticed we've collected a good bit of our ad valorem taxes, even though we're only, actually 25% into the year.
Yeah. Stand.
Yeah, and we're gonna be getting more at the end of this month, more.
Yeah, it trickles in, the last payment gets usually July, that's very small.
Shouldn't there be 42% as we state on the next page? On the February,
Well,
February.
42%, yeah, that's
February
not,
28 should be 42%.
right.
Which you have,
Over here.
the right hand side is correct, but the left hand side you have 25, which is incorrect.
Thank you, I had 42% in the office when I was looking it over.
On the
I'll
next
just
page
say
is 42.
anything when it's in front of my face.
I didn't change the percentage on this,
Right.
on the budget.
No, but it's
fine.
right on the rest of it. So our FP&L franchise fee for the whole year is estimated to be $185,000, and we don't expect that to go down at all, do we? I know some things we do expect to go down, but,
FPNL may, only because in some of their plants, they have modified for fuel, and that modification has actually reduced the amount of franchise that comes. You know,
so I know, so communication is expected to go
But
down.
now remember, FPNL franchise is always 1 to 2 months, at least 1 month, 2
2
months.
months behind. This one is 2 months behind.
Okay.
Communications services tax, that always runs behind, that's probably gonna reduce more.
Yeah, the water utility franchise fee, are we locked out of collecting on any more fees on that? Or what happened with that?
That franchise fee is, when are we having another meeting?
In the next couple of weeks.
There's an issue relative to the town entering into the franchise agreement and Royal Palm Beach and the town, and come to find out, SID, the Seminole Improvement District as well. And so they had their attorneys in, we had our attorney in.
Am I getting a refund? That's all I want.
Don't know.
I I asked because I have public water.
You got water.
They've been overcharging.
Well, what they don't charge is for the regular utility, the water bill, it's a 10% utility tax. What they've been doing is when the impact and the connections, so they charge you a 20%. 10% goes to the city of Village of Royal Palm Beach and 10% goes to the town. Because there was very little activity on connections, it wasn't noticeable. So until the Groves Medical Plaza last fiscal year connected just their fire line, and we got a check for $6,000. And that's more than what we get all year long from the water, the utility tax. So when I looked at the report, it was reflecting 20% that they had to pay, 10% went to Royal Palm Beach and 10 went to the town. So I called them, and when they had entered into the agreement with Royal Palm Beach before the town incorporated, they were getting the 10% on the unincorporated areas west. And then when they entered into the franchise with the town of Loxahatchee Groves after they incorporated, they just reflect us not in the unincorporated area, but they didn't fix it on the other side, on the Royal Palm Beach. So we have a lot of businesses coming online now, the commercial because of the college, and a developer, if he develops in Royal Palm Beach or Wellington, is only subject to a 10% utility tax. Franchise fee. If they come here, it's going to be 20%. So we're in these discussions about everybody that connects in Loxahatchee Groves is only supposed to pay 10%. So
And that's on franchise fees. The town has not implemented utility tax, which is separate.
yeah. I don't know where that's going to end.
Virginia, I'll see you for the next week. I do have a question on this.
Oh, good.
It's just a general question. I try to look at anything more than 42%. Revenue is good. Revenue is fine.
Yeah, I know, I was gonna say, you're gonna complain about,
I skip that.
yeah, I was gonna say, but you're looking at expenses.
Expenditure. The planning and zoning, so I guess this is normal, 53%?
They've been very active, planning and zoning, that whole effort. Also, what goes in there.
Do the legal fees go in there or no?
If we catch it, and it's related to, because this also has cost recovery in it. And you'll notice in the cost recovery, it is over, I think, roughly $40,000 or something like that. It has grown. Yeah, 43.8. We only budgeted 35. And we've got the revenue. We're reflecting the expenditures.
Mm-hmm.
So that rolls into this thing called comprehensive plan. And it's already on the budget for the year. And we expect it to continue going that way after. I've been hearing about a lot of people who want to do things.
Next one I have is for the land research management. That we are 40% into the year, 133%.
Which one is that?
The last one on the right-hand side, land research.
Oh, that is,
Like rough
there's
estimate?
two things. One is, and the problem with this is we probably shouldn't even have it in there. There is a budget for that service, but also cost recovery gets thrown into that. So it's.
Yeah, we talked about this before.
Right, I don't think Mr. Chu was here the last time we brought this up. I think the one, you possibly at the meeting where he wasn't here, we were asking
So we
about
want
this.
to clarify next time?
If you look in the
The best
budget
way
to
to
actual, if you look on page 12 of your agenda, up at the very top, there says planning and zoning contract. and he spent out of that $2,425 so far this year. And so what you see in the activity sheet is that expense plus the cost recovery charges that get charged to all the cost recovery
So
accounts.
actually for expenditure, he's only at 12, they're only at 12% of their budget.
Yes.
But when you add in cost recovery, that puts them
Yeah,
over the top.
and he does on that line item is, those are council directed. He does the wildlife, he's on the moratorium. He does several projects that the council authorizes him to do, and that gets charged to that account. The balance of that money for him are charged to the commons, to the solar sports, to the big dog, to all those cost recovery accounts we have. Jim's the one that does all the work on those, and the attorney. So you'll see charges from them going directly to those cost recovery accounts.
So the actual expenditure is not 26,
Pardon?
No, the actual expenditure is 26.
but that for different purposes. One is the cost recovery.
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
know,
Probably what we should do is just eliminate the budget. I mean, if you want to know about what we're spending on, that's really what this tells you, is how much this is how much you've spent on that company.
So we don't have a separate budget item for the cost
Not for cost
recovery.
recovery.
It can't be budgeted.
It's a little difficult. We estimate at the beginning budget, we estimate revenue and expense, and then we spend more and get more.
if I don't put the actual amounts, when we put up the bills on the internet, some of you have their calculator, adding those numbers up, and I'll be getting calls, or y'all will be getting calls, it doesn't balance, so I want to be really fair. We have items that we get reimbursed for that I plug in ours, because if you added up the checks, not just our account, but every time we buy something for the town and they have to reimburse us, I include it in that amount, so at least everybody has an idea how much you received that year from the town. I think this time, because Member Kane's question, I put these little asterisks in red.
Thank you.
So I'm reflecting that the totals include cost recovery charges that are in addition to the budget amounts to the vendors.
Okay, and outstanding checks are on the back of the bank reconciliation.
Are we on page 17?
Yes.
I do have one
Go
question.
ahead.
I see that we have a Wells Fargo business card. Is it like a credit card?
Yes.
Okay. In fact, I just signed off on
We have 2 Wells Fargo cards.
our department's T card yesterday, which is very complicated process that the card holder has to do everything, manager has to sign off, and we have to put them together, put it back to the central office. So, what kind of control we have for the credit card? Like, who has it? Good.
I have one.
You have a.
We don't.
I've never used it.
Let me tell you what the
So
normal
you
comes
sign
out.
off on hers, or who's going to?
No.
No, actually, the council signs off because they see the slips when they come in and sign checks. There's all the tickets.
Let me explain what we put on the credit card. The internet bill comes directly charged to that credit card for Comcast. Microsoft, the email exchange, they don't take checks, so they automatically bill my credit card. We also have the storage facility that we rent. That's automatically charged to that credit card. And I'm trying to think of.
We're gonna be able to get rid of that storage facility
Mhm.
completely when we're.
Yes.
And are we stuck in a contract on
No,
that, or is that?
that's
it's
month to month. And I think there's one more. I can't remember it off the top of my head right now. And then the other things that are charged to the credit card is the postage. Every code enforcement case has to be registered mail, certified mail, all the postage, and we do postage down there. We buy stamps for our regular correspondence, but we spend a lot of money at the post office, and it's all the certified mail that goes out, and it's all about code enforcement. So that gets used, and the election, when we did the election, so we order the food for the workers, you know, the election officials. We bought all the supplies that they need, and that was used at the grocery store and the food that we ordered. I can't think of anything else. It's not used very often for anything, except those automatic payments. And I think that's about it.
And so to answer his question, the control is the town council member that reviews the billing and the receipts.
They see every invoice of everything when they sign checks. And they go through the credit card bills, but like I said, 90% of it is those automatic charges.
Since we haven't seen it, is there a problem that we would want to see?
If you'd like to see it, I
Oh,
made
that's
a
fine.
copy of it for you.
No, just read that, the number, make
We're
sure.
not, yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing is, I'm gonna tell
Our
you,
next meeting,
on our website, they're on the website.
the credit card
Yes.
statement?
Yeah.
Yes, with the invoices, the backup documentation,
On the website.
because we have to have the backup documentation to go with it. I'm gonna tell you
Okay, I'll
that,
look tomorrow. I mean, if it's there, I will look.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see.
yeah, they've always been
Okay.
on there. What happened was, we were removing the account number, and somehow somebody got my account number, and somebody in Minnesota walked into a Best Buy around Christmas. They didn't have the card, they had the account number, and they didn't honor it, you know, but I had to get a new card. And so Bev, I think either because we thought with a magic marker, but you can see through that magic marker. So I think she's been whiting out the account number. There's some that we're whiting out information like that on any of our bills, because apparently, you know, people do pay attention to that.
I'll go online, just to go $14.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But the council doesn't just see the bill, they see the backup invoices that
Yeah.
go with it.
Okay.
Okay?
Moving on. Ken, where did you said you had questions? Is there a particular area you had questions?
I want to make a motion.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are we there yet?
No.
No, we're not there yet.
Cool for you, Ken.
We gotta
Oh,
approve this.
you apologize. Okay. I know I asked you this question earlier in the day, but I did not understand the response. It was, let's see if I can find a page, we may have already passed it, page 16. Thank you for using big letters on some of this stuff. Appreciate it. I had asked you earlier in the day about the FP&L, I just can't remember where that is right now. I've seen that, well, it looked like it was a payment, but it was actually revenue?
It was, no.
Was it
It
a
was,
payment?
and the deposits. You wanted to know if it was only $180?
Right.
No, that was charged to the FP&L utility tax payment. We received an electronic payment from them for $180
Okay.
on the 25th, but that has to be corrected. That was for a permit that they pulled because they were gonna do some tree clearing, and they came in and they got a permit. The balance of the FP&L is under the AmeriGas, feral gas, and then utility tax. All that got charged to that line
Okay,
item.
page 18, it was on page 18.
Yes.
Okay, so there was the,
18,237.
So when FP&O clears on someone's property, they have to come in and pull the permit?
No,
to
I've
clear
never
their-
seen them come in and pull permits before. This is the first time.
It was to replace poles.
Maybe that's what it was.
Okay, I'm just curious, because
it's interesting, because they go through the district, I know they go through the district, if it's on certain easements.
Oh, no, the district charges them $300 because one time they gave the money directly deposited into our account, and they wanted me to be able to write a check to the district, because I told them they had to take it back out of our account, and then the district charges them $300 for those permits. Usually the utility tax comes in a different day than AmeriGas and Feral, but the electronic deposit and the deposit that was manually made was both on the 17th, so that's why you see all those together. Usually you'll just see the FP&L utility tax by itself. It's just a coincidence that they both were deposited on the same day.
Oh, and I had an interesting experience today, I wanted to share it, just looking through this. I decided to call Waste Pro to see what we're entitled to as residents for our garbage pickup. The woman could not answer my question. She said she'd have to call me back. She could tell me the days, the weight, and the number of yards they could pick up, and if I wanted it all picked up one time, it was $9 per yard, or a little bit at a time. But she could not tell me the number of cans.
Oh, I think I thought it was 6, but
I
I've
did
been
too.
told it's 18 or
for one
something.
family?
That's ridiculous.
Well, I'm just concerned, because that leads into a whole lot of other questions, so I'm hoping to get a response tomorrow.
Well, it's in our contract,
Right.
and I think our contract has as many as you put out.
6 cubic yards. of
That's
vegetation.
vegetation,
That's
but the garbage
vegetation.
cans,
See,
They've never said anything about the garbage.
Well, I think, when's that contract due? When's it come up?
we have that's a 5-year, but that was contract language that the town put in, not Waste Pro.
Right.
Well, town better get on the ball.
'Cause I'm just asking because that could backfire on you on the town in a lot of ways.
You know, we ought to have some
Well,
stipulations.
this is the problem. We're paying per unit, not per garbage can. So the town's contract from the beginning I thought it said 12. So I thought when we did the contract, it was gonna have 6, but I've been told it doesn't mention an amount, so you can put out as many as you want.
Okay, moving
Well, a
along.
novel way to run a railroad.
I don't think most citizens would put out 10 garbage cans.
Who owns 10 garbage cans?
I know that
1666 C Road.
He's got the exact street number for me.
it's the RV trailer park.
I got pictures of that.
Okay,
I work very hard, I get 20% of garbage can every 2 weeks.
all right.
I
I'm
don't.
not looking to take anything, I just wanted an answer to the question is all. I was just asking to get a definitive answer to the question, because when I called, I could not get an answer.
She probably
You have
has
to go
never
to
seen the
Chris.
contract, Virginia, to be fair to her. It's about 700 pages, and I wouldn't know where to start to look for it,
Okay.
but I know it's unlimited.
All right, going through page 25. make that motion, we don't wanna keep going back and forth.
No, you're very fine.
Okay, well, actually, we said we were gonna do 1, 2, bank, budget versus actual, page 10. Let's just make sure we go through all these line items, we're going through every,
16, 30.
right, the detailed trial balance is page 30, which we didn't have last month, so let's give that a good look over.
A quick question on page 35.
Page, what page?
35.
35, okay, you passed the trial balance.
There's a lot of voiding check.
Oh, we had to run, we're having problems with the system, and there's a lot of checks
Wow.
that we didn't issue. We were going to issue, and we did eventually, but that particular was a real problem. And was that when he finally made his conversion over to the new system?
And we did a test run. We voided more than that. We voided just to test the system. We didn't use the real checks, but he had to put in we probably voided 50 or 60, you know, when we first were trying on the conversion. We didn't use the check, but he used it in the system. When we ran the system, we had to void them all out. Then on this one, we voided them all out because there was an error. So they decided it was just easier to void all of them, and we redid the check run.
Yeah, because I see some of those on the top.
Yes.
Yeah, like AT&T 227.31,
Mhm.
31.7.
Yeah, they're.
Yeah, they're up here.
So that means these were void because of the trial run.
That was part of that, and we also avoided a whole list. It was just said test. It did never have a name to them. We did that at the beginning. Just-
Sure, let's check out.
They should have been in, maybe we did it in all, we were practicing is what we were doing without a check number. We were just,
And then I had a question on page 26. I understand the $40,000 for the Chamber of Commerce property. It's just a general inquiry question. Why would we be willing to give away $40,000 that was non-refundable? In the contract for this building, there was $40,000 of which if the contract did not go through, it was non-refundable to the town.
Well, that was in the event that somebody decided to back out.
Why, I'm just curious why the town would even entertain the thought of putting money out that could not be returned.
we did it after they signed the contract. That was a good faith check, but at the time they approved the contract on both sides.
And what happened, and I've done, when I do bond issues, I get a good faith an amount from the underwriter, generally, I want to say 1%. So, you know, I do a $50 million deal, I get a check for 1%. In the event that I don't get to closing, I keep the money. And the underwriter loses. That's standard, that's business. And $50 million, this was, we actually wanted a lesser amount. I don't even know that we needed to necessarily go that way. The attorney wanted to have more time to go through all the documents and make sure that he was happy with the survey, with the elevations, with the building, with everything that,
Our attorney?
yeah, our attorney, nothing. And they were, because the council, I guess, over the discussion period, they were yes, no, yes, no. We'll sell it to you, but we want to know that you're really serious. How do I know that you're really serious?
I'm sure there's a warrant of buyers they could have gone to if we weren't.
They didn't have any.
That is probably not true.
They had to meet a certain criteria, a buyer. A buyer had to be the Red Cross. It had to be another governmental agency. It's on public land, and Palm Beach County was not going to turn over the land unless it was a public institution. There's not that many in this area that needed a building out here because Royal Palm Beach already had a city hall and Wellington had, and,
No palace.
well, that's true, but this was, I don't know what other nonprofit that the county would have accepted.
Certain football.
Man, on our budget, get a piece of cake.
Town would buy it.
At any rate, I think it was more of their concern that we were
Yeah.
gonna back out. We
Yeah.
tried to alleviate those fears by telling them, oh, they've done this, 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 and this, we've already done that. I didn't see it as any different than if somebody's doing a bond issue and we're issuing it. And you're gonna give me 1% if you walk away. Same thing in typically in construction contracts, in my world, I get a performance bond. I also get a bid bond. The bid bond says, I promise you I'm gonna do that job for this price. You back out, that's fine, see you later,
Right, but you're not a municipality.
I keep the
You're-
money.
Right. I just.
No, the municipality keeps the money.
No, I
Oh.
understand that, but I'm just surprised that we as a municipality were willing to give away $40,000.
We had already signed the contract, we had already made a big, all parties had signed, everything was in place. The only problem was the county's land, there was a glitch on the title, meaning they had I don't know if it was the mineral rights, one of those things that the county had to work through. That's what's taken so long. The county had to clear their title, I guess.
But this is a credit to the cost of living, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll get the money.
Well, we
It's
get-
just like,
Yeah, we'll get the building.
just like
It's not
after the due
costing us extra
diligence.
for it.
Right.
Right, but my point was, I understand it's a credit to the cost of the building, but my point was if the deal did not go through, we were out the 40,000.
Well, we had signed the contract, I think if we didn't go through, we were out the whole 400 and whatever.
At one point, their contract asked that if you back out, there's damages,
Yeah,
which is a lot bigger than 40,000.
yeah.
So we were trying to limit our exposure and not have to pay damages in the event the council.
But all those guys have signed up, right?
Everybody's, we're gonna wire the money on Monday, the 29th, 30th. And close on Tuesday, the 31st.
And then we move in.
And start,
Right away.
starts.
As is, no improvements.
No, there's lots of it.
Before they remove their furnitures.
They're going to build a dais for the council, and we had to order chairs, there's only 25 of those. We had to order chairs,
Are they leaving the furniture?
Yes. Part of
So-
So,
whatever, we don't know what they're gonna leave.
Oh, why don't you check with the county or the school district, they have tons of furniture. Check
All the
with them.
sales they have?
No, the surplus, they give it all to government body. Check with them, they have like
You know who else has a ton of
The new
furniture?
school coming online, the old one, they're still
Yeah.
decent, check with them. We get it free.
We don't need that, I mean, we have desks and things like that.
Yeah, they have a lot of
Just
desks, they have a lot.
But the chairs for,
They do have that too, but check with them, might as well just a phone call.
Just Santa Maria's.
Well,
go to the warehouse.
I need 70 chairs that match.
Oh, Look,
I mean, they
think
want
about
it,
they have chairs for the whole school.
They
It wouldn't hurt
abandon
to
all of their
just check.
furniture.
Since they're
are
free.
there chairs for the public to sit at? I mean, that's what I'm looking
Yeah,
at, they're not that expensive.
They also have the conference room tables and regular desks,
So there's a lot of nice
and even some
town
computer
of
equipment,
Wellington
they're
paid
still
for
in good shape.
furniture that
What?
you might
Give them a call.
let us
I
know
will.
for.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're all free for it. This one.
All
Yeah.
right, moving
Come
on
up with
then.
copy desk.
All right, so we did
It's being stored over there.
budget, bank reconciliation, is everyone through the trial balance?
Yeah.
Page 30 starts the trial balance. Oh, Cheryl, usually you have something.
her eyes were hurting because the letters were so small.
Yeah, I'm thinking, or she's just showing off, she's gonna start reading it all.
Did you see how small it is?
Really small.
Who did that, Perla? Who made that tiny?
I did. I was trying to make it less pages and now I can't hardly see
Hey,
it.
it hurts.
Now we're all compliant.
I need to say, Virginia, that we are spending, they're gonna shampoo the carpets, because they do need them. They're not replacing carpet.
You're not
We're just gonna shampoo them. They're gonna paint the walls, all the walls, and we are gonna buy blinds for this room. There's no blinds in anything.
Right, because
But
of the
they
way the
really-
sun shines and the,
We're
and the
gonna,
sunset going down.
we don't need a screen project, the screen, they're taking their screen and but we have the town council had already approved the live streaming video, and we had already bought the service, we were just waiting to buy the camera. So, the camera, you'll get to stay at home and watch the council meetings in real time, on your computer.
They wish.
There's a couple of things like that.
All right. All right, sales tax, look at all that sales tax. All right, is there anything unusual in the, I mean, it seems pretty standard, nothing's really standing out, is it?
On page 44, we've made a significant payment to Blackbog. Is that a
That
down?
was like, yeah.
That's like a down, that was the initial payment, okay.
That keeps everything in
Yeah,
place
6 grand
until
roughly,
we
yeah.
actually start.
Okay, but because I knew that we were kind of holding up on implementation, so
Yeah.
our monthly payments don't start until,
Correct.
okay.
That is part of the 5-year, I can't remember what the total amount was, but that 5,800 was the initial payment that was due at signing of the contract.
Okay,
And that comes off that total
Okay.
amount.
all right.
The bank statements are separate and to the side. Well, the trial balance goes through to, the detailed trial balance goes actually through quite a bit to page, oh, it continues. Well, we have also, it's through, October to
It's several
February.
months worth.
Yeah. So
It's from
actually goes
October
to
to
page
February.
79.
Wow.
Then we have a nice, we have a To and Taylor invoice, but let's get the bank statement is separate and to the side. This is the bank statement for ending February.
Excuse me.
And I can read, I can read the numbers.
I guess, yeah, because I didn't have it. I thought maybe.
Yeah.
I can see it, but I don't, the numbers are just not. Oh, there it comes.
Okay, and here we see the 40,000 transfer in the debits for the building. That's a large amount. Checks. Anything going on with positive pay?
We
Other
do
than
positive
working.
pay every pay.
We have the contract signed and we're on the,
Positive pays up and running,
okay.
not
Since-
stopping.
Okay, I thought we were supposed to get a better interest rate, or,
That's different.
Did I?
Positive pay.
no, but I thought part of the whole package was a little
Yeah.
enticement to get a better interest rate,
A lot.
and,
Enticement.
right?
Have not moved up.
Why?
I don't know. Work. Different things got in the way.
You let me know when junior leaves the room and senior comes back. That sounded like a Bill Junior response. Okay, but it's on the to-do list to get the better interest rate.
It is on the to-do as soon as I collect all the garbage. And the code.
All right, so we have gotten through bank statements. Any comments, any further comments, trial balance or bank statement? No. Okay.
I have a motion and a second. Anita?
Right. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Good, passes 5-0. Now, let's do review of Two and Taylor invoices and review of reimbursements.
We have no reimbursements.
Pardon?
We have no reimbursements.
Oh, okay.
It's just the
So
two
we're
and
gonna prove that
Taylor.
right away.
Oh, thank you. Check that out. Two and Taylor's the code enforcement service. It's nice to see something different in here.
This bill's probably gonna go up more and more,
Why is that?
because we're getting a lot of issues.
Okay.
But these are cost recovery. No,
Yeah.
Two and Taylor is not cost recovery. Well, this is good for it to be in here. Let's talk about that.
The philosophy behind code enforcement is compliance, not money.
Right.
So we send you a letter and we say, please clean up your act. You ignore it. We send you another letter and say, please clean it up by this date. You ignore that. We then send you another letter saying you violated, and we're gonna take you to special action. New rules, according to the state, on what you can possibly claim back has shrunk. I think it was last year, state statute shrunk how much you could request reimbursement for.
An administrative cost. And
Right.
it's gotten to the point where it's almost like the cost you do when you're making the copies. You can't charge the staff time, because we just went through a case that we went to the magistrate with administrative cost, and it was limited to a project that might have cost $4,000 to like $120, and it was the cost of the employee that was making the copies and a couple of other things, but you're limited on what you can get reimbursement for. I think we've tried that twice.
Well, now it's completely
So this
changed.
is just 1 month of code enforcement?
Yeah.
Yes.
And can I ask why we only have January here? I mean, do they typically run that far behind in getting us an invoice? 2 or 3
In
months behind?
February, they submit their, this was paid in February the 20th, we only do 2 check runs a month. So their bill goes through January the 31st, so we didn't receive it probably till the 10th of February, and then it goes on the next run.
I got you.
Okay.
But anyway, we don't get reimbursed for special magistrate, we don't get reimbursed for legal. I've had several cases where the defendant had an attorney, and so we needed our attorney to get their attorney. And that's all ours, and it is,
Non-reimbursable.
correct. No cost recovery. If you get back 20%, I'd be shocked.
Can we get back the cost of training?
No.
No.
Well,
The
so somebody
judge
came
would
in and
have
asked
to
for
order
40,000
administrative
copies,
charges, cost.
X, Y,
and-
Z.
Oh, we get the 15 cents a copy.
Okay, we should have copied it.
If you how do other jurisdictions handle this, our pocket cost?
They eat it.
They have to eat it.
Larger income, and larger revenue, so.
Well,
Well,
there's,
this going back to Ken's idea that why should we subsidize the violator?
Well, we're not
Because
stuck-
code enforcement is not, it's not designed, from the outset, it's not designed to get money.
But shouldn't decide to lose money.
It is designed to lose money.
money.
That is the design.
There's legal issues here.
The issue with code is we want you to clean up your place. Don't do that anymore, please. And that's really what it is. So theoretically, hopefully, if everybody was complying, you would not spend any, but you wouldn't see any non-compliance. See, we happen to have an abundance of non-compliance.
So you wouldn't lose money, but you wouldn't gain it, if everything
If
were.
everything was good, it'd be even, because nobody's going out.
it's almost like we spend all this money, and if they come into compliance the day before the special magistrate, it's over. So it never goes to special
I have a
magistrate.
perfect one which was on F Road. The gentleman he was in an industrial complex, he was mixing horse, the rink,
The arena sand.
marine sand. Did it for months and months. We cited him, stopped work for him, cited him. The day before he was going to the magistrate, he stopped. So when you go to the magistrate says, is it stopped? What is the answer?
Yes.
And there's the answer, thank you, don't do it anymore. And so we've had an attorney involved, we've had code enforcement out there, we've got a magistrate that we're paying for, all the copies of everything we're paying.
Is that a typical,
That's
$2,000 a month roughly, is
I
that a
think it's-
typical?
No, I think it's gonna be a lot.
They have a $35,000 year budget. They probably spend about 30 a
Okay.
year. This was a relatively low month. It runs about $2,400, unless there's a lot of code. Now, part of these expenses, anything that has to do with getting ready for the magistrate, because Two and Taylor provides all the exhibits, those are charged to the line item for the special magistrate. So, Two and Taylor never meets their 35, because within their 35, they're also picking up the cost to get the magistrate's hearings information. But it's been running about that amount every year.
So we've got, and I guess if you wanted to know, we've got 16,000 for the magistrate and 38,000 for code enforcement. That is,
Well, it's 35,000 for Bev, and then 3,000 under Frank Shiola's contract, because he does if there's, it's not a code issue, but if somebody, the illegal dumping and things like that, when he finds those, and then he advises, so we can contact the people that have the illegal dumping or dump, that his charge for that gets charged to the code enforcement part.
so it's a losing proposition.
Alrighty. So, do we need a motion for these two items?
We do? I'll make a motion.
Or one, actually, one, there's nothing undue. Second,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passes 5-0. Closing comments. Notice. Oh. So do I.
Record time.
Okay, let's start with, we
Wait,
start
wait,
with,
did you have a motion?
Yes,
I think.
oh,
All right.
oh, they're waiting and waiting. And then-
I
and
almost
have to-
forgot it. No, she almost forgot it.
Well, I kept saying, you said.
Question.
Is that a motion?
No, but it's a question before the motion. Other committees like ourselves, how do they handle public comment? Do they allow public comment during their session, or do they do it after the session?
I've seen it during, after, never.
Well,
There's not a standard.
not a standard procedure.
uh,
It's not written anywhere.
No.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion. In this committee, that public comment is acceptable only after the panel's business is completed.
So in other words, at this point that we're at now,
So at this point that we're at right now, the public would be able to make a comment, maximum of 3 minutes duration. That's it.
Second,
second.
yes, Mr. Wood?
Would you mind if I check the attorney first? Only because the Senate bill passed in the last legislature. open the door for public comment on items. The question is, what I don't have is, they may be able to speak at each item.
Okay, so here's, I just want to make a point in support of his motion for you to bring up with the attorney. We're not a political body.
I understand.
And so, although we make every effort to remain transparent, we are not a political body. And in the last meeting we had, we were, in my opinion, used as a political tool. And it was very upsetting to me as a member of this committee. So, by members of the community. That's just my personal opinion, but that's how I feel. So, as not being a political body, I don't know how open to public comment we have to be. That would be my point back to the attorneys. So if you can please represent that as well.
Glad to do that. I understand. But I know that the last legislative session, 2014, broadened the scope for all public comments in
Okay.
government. I just don't know how far. I don't know.
But is this
Well,
a
I mean,
committee
let me-
considered government? This is
Oh,
just
yeah.
an advisory
Oh,
committee.
yeah.
Is right?
All right, let me ask this question.
Oh, okay. Ken and then Mr. Chu.
Can we have a closed meeting?
No,
Okay. Right.
let's try.
Mr. Chu.
You may not be aware, we are subject to everything the elected official is subject to. Sunshine, open record, everything.
I'm perfectly aware of that.
And this is a public meeting. We have the agenda published, we have to invite the public to come in to speak on item that being considered. Either it's on agenda or non-agenda. So we cannot shut up the public.
Nobody's saying to shut it out. We're simply
Well-
saying that to keep our
Well,
business
If,
running more
let me finish. If we discuss and make a motion and take an action on item without public input, there's a shut of public input. As simple as that. And there's a reason that we want to advertise the agenda to make sure if any public is interested in the item, we can afford them with an opportunity to come to express their opinion on the item that we will deliberate on. That's the reason we have the public.
We've given them an
There's
opportunity.
also a thing of beating a dead horse.
Well, then there's a different issue.
No, it's not. I
Well,
mean,
if
it
you
seems
wanna-
like public comment seems
It's
to
different.
take
Then-
things
then-
a little bit
Then,
into a different area, and they keep repeating and
Well-
repeating and
well,
repeating.
then we
do
have to have a
section
standing rule.
here.
Then we have to have
Well,
a
that's what we're
standing
trying to do
rule.
is establish a steady rule.
Well,
We have-
Mr. Chu,
Well,
we need, I haven't looked at this.
What we need-
I just
I
want to read,
leave it to the lawyer to.
yeah,
to
but I want to read what this says.
All I know is that usually they allow public to speak on agenda and non-agenda. They can say anything they want, either on agenda or non-agenda, either before or after. So that's the reason.
Well, I get it. I know
Yeah, please
that.
tell me the lawyer.
I'm just not sure when the legislation passed, if they said that the public gets to speak before you take an action or it's after. I'm not,
Well,
but they
and
did
here,
change it.
I know that we,
you may only hear it, and here it says in our agenda, it does say during public comments, you may address any item you desire. Please remember there is a 3-minute time limit.
And you need to know that this is what we take from the town council. So this is on all the committees.
We don't even have cards, do we?
Yeah,
always
we
get-
do,
we-
but
they
we're
do.
so informal here that we don't ask them to fill them out if somebody has a question. The only thing I would suggest is that sometimes, not just in this committee, you see it in the others, the interaction with the public, they become almost a committee member.
That's
So
the issue.
it's one thing to speak, but you see that at the council meetings, the council has moved in a movement that is disallowing that. They're letting them speak before an item, they're letting them speak before they take the vote on an item, but they're not interjecting anymore into the conversation of the council.
Okay,
Madam Chair,
So Ken,
Madam Chair,
oh, sorry,
I just have a general comment.
go ahead.
And this is the first time I heard about this item, this subject to be discussed in the public regarding what can recommended. And I hope that as a member, we don't discuss privately what is right, what's wrong, which will be deliberate at a couple meeting.
What's that got to do with it? Doesn't have anything to do
No,
with the
like-
motion.
No,
Motion, we've got a motion on the floor to a second.
Yeah.
Okay, could you repeat the motion for a moment? with this
But we
discussion, I've
can't-
forgotten what the
We
motion
can't vote
is.
on it until it's been approved by the
You
attorney.
can vote on it, but-
Well, no. Yeah, what was the motion?
Well, first,
Public
first,
comments acceptable only after the committee finishes its business.
And they're limited to 3 minutes.
and a
Oh,
maximum of 3 minutes.
Which was
And-
approved at the very end.
Right, but again, as you're saying, that is something,
And as Mr. Chu pointed out, it doesn't give them time to comment before we vote, which is probably an
That
issue.
may be an issue.
That is, no, it certainly is an issue. It certainly is an issue. If we're going to be transparent and do that, it actually does become an issue.
I would check with the attorney.
Check with the attorney.
but then
That's fine.
also, as Perla has stated, it does not need to be a constant bantering back and forth with the audience.
They can,
I
they
think
can,
it's the chair's call.
Right.
You know, the chair, you could.
Right,
you
and there's
that's-
sometimes
That's why you're in
some-
trouble. That's why you could.
I mean, ideally, you accept the comment, duly
Yes.
noted, thank
Yeah.
you, and
Right.
you go about it.
And we have cut it off when we need to. I mean, when we sometimes we're free with the discussion, and sometimes we cut it off as needed, so.
But maybe just to, I think what Ken is getting at is that we need to come up with some kind of a more uniform policy and maybe stop some of the banter, like really start doing it more
At every
formally and
consistency.
consistently, so that it doesn't appear that there are issues that we don't want to discuss at some time or anything, so it's just, no, this is the way that
Right.
we
This is
conduct
the policy
business.
and we're
This is our
implementing it
policy
according
and
to
we're
it.
doing it consistently from here on out,
the
period.
the council
Mr.
has on their agenda right before the consent, they have a section for public comments up at the front. And then they do let them speak on items.
I think if we are doing something inconsistent with what the council is doing, I think we need, of course, the legal input and also the blessing from the council. I think the same rules should apply to across the board.
So you're suggesting
If that's the
public
case.
comment before we start,
No,
and then
no,
after
no,
closing?
no. I leave it to
Okay.
town manager to get input from legal.
And come
My
back.
suggestion is that if this is going to be for us, it should be for everybody. And we should,
All committees.
we should get it,
All of what you
it should be
started,
consistently, it should be consistently applied to all committees, because I don't see why we should treat any committee differently. And it had to be legal and had to be okay by the council. So if we have a legal ordinance to set a rule, that's fine, then we follow it.
We'd like guidance in our procedure, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Who include that in the new resolutions that the town attorney's drafting for all the committees, so
That
they
would
can
be
be more
great.
uniform.
If that is the, if
That's
that's the
what they're-
desire, if the desire of the council.
Yeah.
So may we, okay, and starting with, we don't have public here, so Ken, are you satisfied then with what is
Oh,
going to
I
happen
would like to
next?
research to see
Okay.
what the state
All right.
has to say.
All right, so
Definitely.
what I'd like to do is before the committee members start, I'd just like to start with Mr. Underwood and Perla for their comments. No comment, Perla? It's all on you, though.
No real comments. I think we're still having fun.
So Ed Blackbog, when do you think that's gonna,
But we're not
We're waiting just-
Kick off until we get it,
Yeah.
So some like May,
probably.
mid-April, the end of tax season.
Yeah.
do we get to watch the launch?
Live
It
streaming.
could be
Perla,
like North Korea.
Perla screaming.
We can probably.
Where did it go?
I think I'm gonna go on the
I know,
trip.
I have to.
It's gonna be bad.
I hear that a lot.
My personal favorite is, oh God, it's frozen.
I hear that all weekend.
I hear that almost every day. It's like, oh God, am I moving too fast?
So, I mean, I think in general, as our comments, though, just feel free, when the stuff is
On a
up.
positive note,
Yeah,
we're gonna have a huge reduction in our telephone cost when we move in. And, we're gonna have, we only have 2 lines, and I said, I said to the office staff today, when one of the council members called and said, I've been trying to call for an hour, but it's always busy. But we only have 2 lines, so if somebody's calling or somebody's talking, nobody can call. It goes straight to voicemail, and that's been happening more and more. And the other day, when Bill flew in from Fort Lauderdale with all their grandeur over there, he thought that we needed 7 lines, and we got into this heated argument at work about he didn't understand Loxahatchee. We don't really need more than 2. And after I said that, every day somebody complains about the lines.
He's keep
Um,
paying them.
So we're getting the 7 lines, but we're gonna get to pay half of what we're paying now for telephone service.
It's good.
So
It's
Extra
a saving, though.
it's a big set, it's a
It's a saving,
positive.
Ken? Ken?
Yes, thank you. I think maybe you ought to, can you dedicate those lines?
Yeah,
No work.
we're dedicating them to code enforcement, we're dedicating them to permitting and the planning department. And so when you call,
May I make a suggestion?
Yes.
That a couple of them will not receive incoming calls, that would only be good for outgoing calls, because I could fathom all these phone lines getting tied up, and you or Bill or whoever needs to call somewhere,
we have the
and you
problems
can't
now.
get out.
We have that problem.
We have that problem,
Well, that's what
everybody's
I'm
using their
saying.
cell
You
phones.
need to see if you can get them dedicated so that you will block incoming calls,
Perhaps the town
And
manager. can
only-
call him.
outgoing calls.
The system is gonna be fairly sophisticated and roll. So when there's a busy number, we'll go to the next one. And somebody should. Because I've been chastised that we do not want to use modern technology.
That's me,
I think per
that's me.
Loxahatchee
I
Town,
am-
his whole,
I do
His
that.
whole-
I,
his
You
whole-
utilize
I
an
res-
answering machine hold.
I respect,
so he's gonna say, his whole.
he just flew in from Broward, you know, he has ideas of grandeur. I keep telling him this is not how we do it in Loxahatchee. He's getting used to it.
I know, but we don't have any strainer cans.
Okay, let's start with comments, starting with Anita.
Oh, I'm kind
That
of-
was a positive.
Yes, it is. Any comment?
I enjoyed the tone and the agenda and everything of the meeting this evening.
Ken?
I wish everyone knew you.
It's been a good meeting. It's, the way it should be.
Mr. Chu?
Thank you.
And yourself, Madam Chair?
I think we did great tonight. I think we did good, got through it, got some information out of Mr. Underwood, had a good debate on how we want to handle things. You'll get back to us on
We'll put it on
the
the.
public, yes, please. And speaking of the agenda, is there anything anybody would like to see on the agenda?
I would like to comment that they're really saving costs, because I didn't get a back cover.
Carla knows she wants for the cost saving method.
I want you to know that Bev left early on Friday and I had to put those together. That's my
No,
fault.
but seriously, if there's anything you would like on the agenda, please do not hesitate to call the town.
Anybody's bills, because last meeting they said that let's rotate them, so I was gonna rotate.
I thought we had a good discussion though, it
Do
brought
you
up some
want to
things
see
we weren't
those for
aware
a
of.
couple of months and then go on to somebody else's, or do you want every month to have different bills? Because we can do whatever. So at least you get a flavor of all of them. I think next month, I'm gonna put the credit card bills up, so that way you can see what's being charged and the backup that goes with it.
How about if
Is that
we do
okay?
Sounds
Every
good.
month unless there's a specific.
If that's not too much, put it 12
demanding,
months,
you know,
just
that
like
You
when.
want the
are
12 months?
Yeah,
Or
just make sure you,
every month rotate, but also
Sure, I
for
will.
something
Reject it.
unusual.
Right, yeah.
Sure.
Something like that. How about that, Perla? Every month you rotate, but unless there's something really unusual or something that you feel we need to know,
Okay,
Put that
I'll
in.
put that in there.
And good job on collecting money on the garbage and getting dumpsters out there.
Well,
Just keep it going. Excellent.
We try.
Motion to adjourn?
I make a motion with.
Oh, listen, Mr. Chatty Cathy.
Aye.
Second, okay, all those in favor? Aye. Yeah. 8:13, and we had lots of discussion.
Yes, you did a great job, madam.
Save you all because I usually make coffee.
Oh, look at him, he's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I make one for you
No, usually I
now.
make my own coffee so I can read.
Oh, okay.
It's hard to read on the computer.
We anticipating
I know.
income from.
You don't want to, you don't
But this
have
is
time,
good.
any time to come by the office? And I would never.
Sometimes get up late. It's okay.
Don't you not work on Fridays? Don't y'all just work 4-day weeks over there?
Just 1 week
Just 1 week?
for the Easter holiday. I mean for the spring break.
Oh, really? I thought it was every week.
No, no,
I thought
Wellington.
y'all worked on Thursday.
Wellington, yes.
Oh, Wellington. I
Summer.
know that, but I thought the school did.
Summer we will have the
In the
40
summer? Oh, maybe that's what it was.
But we'll be from
Can
7
we
to
hire
6.
some, seriously,
That
based
long.
on show, this is off, we're off the
Yeah,
thing here. Is this appropriate to discuss? Like, if we
Yeah.
don't want to be speaking out of turn,
No.
we've adjourned the meeting, can we, but it's a valid question.